Successful retailers have invested a lot in technology to drive omni-channel results, and ultimately, the store associate plays a critical role in the success of this initiative. But how has the role of the store associate really changed the past few years? How do you gain buy-in at scale across multiple locations? And what tools and technology are needed to be successful? Great topic here, so I'm excited to welcome our next speaker, the Managing Director and Head of Retail at UNTUCKit. Here is Brent Paulsen.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning. Before we get started, let's hear a little bit about you and great background. Where are you calling in from today?
Yeah, I'm actually in DC, traveling at the market, visiting some stores this week. But a little bit about me, 35 plus years in the retail business. I've been involved in store operations for most of my life. Career history, worked at Bloomingdale's, worked at Home Depot, worked at some other legacy retailers, Sears, et cetera, that may no longer be beyond the in malls around us. I joined UNTUCKit about 6 years ago and helped them to build their brick and mortar business. So we'll talk a bit about that in my presentation and how that kind of plays into the evolution of the associate in the Omni world.
We have an impressive background. We're excited to see what you're doing in this space. Let's pull up your presentation. And again, audience members will save plenty of time for Q&A, so feel free to come on up here and ask Brent your question. Brent, go for it.
All right, let me take it away here with the slide clicker.
Technology.
Can you guys see my slides?
You can always tell us next slide, and we could probably advance it for you if you're having some trouble.
Let me back up a little bit. I think I jumped way ahead here, so pardon me. All right, next slide. Let's start from the beginning.
Perfect. Let's get it queued on up. There we go. You're ready to roll.
All right, so a little bit about UNTUCKit first. I'd share, just to give you some context. We've always believed that the customer and omni-channel approach to business is the right way to interact with customers. But let me give you a little bit of background how we got there. So next slide, please. All right, so UNTUCKit is a DTC business founded in 2011. Our tagline is shirts designed to be worn untucked. So ultimately, our founder was struggling to find product that could fit himself or his friends. And so began this mission to create product that was more appropriate for customers that had the same type of problem. So kind of a classic school business problem. We founded or solved the problem that we felt was out there. Next slide, please. So for those of you that don't know what an UNTUCKit shirt is or why it's different, this little photo shows kind of where a shirt falls on the right side versus the left side, more of a classic shirt. So a shirt that's designed to be not tucked into your jeans or into your bottoms is what the company is founded on. Next slide, please. Our advertising, we fit a lot of different people. This is an example of a photo that we use in our stores to connect men of different shapes and sizes with the product we offer. So there are small guys on here, there are large guys on here, there are tall guys. We attempt to fit everybody. We have 50 plus different sizes, which makes it fairly difficult or fairly easy to fit most guys, but sometimes difficult to be in stock. Next slide, please. So again, a quick slide showing just the type of fits: a regular fit, a slim fit, a relaxed fit that's a little bit bigger, a tall, and also a tall slim. So again, think about 60, 70 different pattern shirts, different colors, different fabrics available in all these sizes across our organization. Next slide, please. And then our organization, as I said, started when I joined the company 6 years ago. We had 2 brick and mortar stores. I joined the company in August of 16. So 6 years later, we have 80 plus stores across the US. We have a couple stores in Canada and a couple stores in the UK. So we've quickly filled in the majority of the major markets throughout the United States. Next slide, please. So why Omni at Untuckit, right? As I said when I started, we always believe that the customer is the decision maker relative to kind of what they want when they want it. So in May of 2020, as stores closed, when the COVID period began, we introduced live chat when stores were open with the intention of continuing to do business and support our e-com business during that timeline. So the example at the right side of the page, you see a PDP page, product page with a little chat that will pop up asking the customer if they need additional help. Can we help them with fit? Can we help them with styles? Can we help them with some type of problem? So the customer is invited to chat with our store associates. Our store associates then are challenged across the 80-some stores to answer questions, hopefully provide solutions. And ultimately, the goal here is to really pivot and take that customer inquiry, make them confident and comfortable about their purchase decision and help us sell more shirts. What this really did for us was personalize what was ultimately kind of a very transactional experience. Now we have a human person providing expertise, providing a little bit of humor, a little bit of style to a customer who may be sitting on their couch or at their phone somewhere thinking about buying a shirt. So this is one of our first stabs at omnichannel, and I think it's been very successful. Next slide, please. So the second thing we did, and some of these things were in process as 2020 materialized, we started shipping product from store. So you've heard the acronym BOSS, Buy Online, Ship from Store. So in late summer, we began to utilize our stores as distribution centers. So that sounds pretty simple, but it really is quite complex. So ultimately, prior to this, a customer would purchase product and it would all ship from a warehouse. Occasionally, a store associate would attempt to find product not available, size, color, fit in their store, and ultimately have to call or attempt to call multiple stores to find the inventory the customer needed. So once we opened this up, the customer shopping online now had visibility to all of the unit inventory in not only our warehouse, but every single retail location. And very quickly, those sizes and colors that might have been last ones or very kind of tucked away in a stock room are now visible for selling to customers across the world. The ultimate impact of this is it dramatically increased our inventory turnover. So that unproductive inventory that might never have sold is now available and selling. And so we're turning goods faster. It's improving our margins and ultimately our sell-through. So a really, really impactful way for us to improve our profitability and productivity. Next slide, please. So these two things, these two initiatives, again, from a corporate perspective, sounded pretty easy, but it required a lot more from our store teams than we'd ever asked before. Most of our people were typical retail associates hired to interact with customers, sell product, and move on to the next customer. In between customers, they were taking care of a store environment, keeping it clean, keeping it orderly, and making it ready for the next customer. When we layered on these additional omni type responsibilities, we now expected them to do more. So one of the biggest things this change kind of forced on our people in stores was they had to become much more knowledgeable, much faster about everything. So they had to know more about online. They had to know more about customer service. They had to know about e-com. They had to be comfortable interacting with a customer, really when the customer wanted them. The live chat functionality is turned on in every single store when the associate clocks in. And at any moment, a customer may be asking for assistance, and we're expecting our associates to grab that customer chat, interact with the customer, as I said before, and ultimately sell them more shirts. The pick, pack, and ship duties, again, most stores were not shipping product out of their building. They were receiving product, they were merchandising product. Now we're shipping product, shipping sizes, shipping colors out of our store at all times. So again, as the associate is going about their day, at any moment, they could be touched with a e-com live chat customer. Right? Any moment, they could be receiving an order that to be shipped from their store. So now it really required them to think differently about what they were doing. So while there's always a little bit of downtime in stores, the task now is some of these new Omni initiatives, we're using some of that downtime and forcing a store manager or store associate to become much more kind of aware and alert and involved from open to close. The other challenge really is balancing the in-store customer that walks across that threshold versus the Omni customer. We obviously want to make sure that we are interacting with customers that enter our doors, into our stores in a very friendly, casual way, but they may walk in while we're in the midst of an e-com live chat interaction. And that customer waiting at their computer, at their phone, is expecting a response as well. So the associates, more than ever, have now had to think about balancing and doing things, doing multitasking at all times. And kind of lastly, we're now asking associates to pivot. We're asking them to do different things at different times, almost all the time. So they're constantly moving from one customer to another customer to another customer, sometimes obviously in store, sometimes via live chat, and then sometimes as they fill that pick and pack order for a customer that had just placed. Next slide, please. So what do these things require us to think about, right? So it really demanded a lot more skills from our people. And it really required, first and foremost, a cultural shift about how we thought about the utilization of an associate in a store. So big change. It started really kind of at the leadership level, all the way down to the hourly associate. They're now doing more things than perhaps they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago when they joined our company. It requires the associate to be much more flexible. As I said, it requires them to multitask and constantly balance two different types of customers at the same time. It's forced us to think about listening skills. What is the customer asking for? What is the associate's response? And how do we then ultimately move and service that customer with the goal of selling more shirts? Associates now are much more resourceful. They have more tools at their disposal. They've got more inventory at their disposal, and they got to think about how they can best utilize that inventory to satisfy a customer need. All of our platforms are mobile, so social media tools where most of our associates and most of us are pretty proficient. It requires us now to think about that in a retail environment. So if you're texting or chatting with an associate, you're really speaking to them in short sentences, trying to provide important facts, trying to do it in a way that's not overly wordy and ultimately solves their problem. And kind of lastly, I said before, an associate now is expected to have a much more deeper knowledge of all things Untuckit, not only product in their store, but product available online and ways to help a customer get to or purchase that product. And kind of lastly, operational processes. All this stuff has to fit together. So the shipping, the packing, the inventory controls, all those things, the receiving of freight is all that more critical as we think about what an associate is required to do. Next slide, please. So how we adapted. So from the beginning, one of the basic premises of our organization was to keep our point of sale and store processes simple, primarily for the associate, but ultimately for the customer. So we've always thought about how do we make the transaction as easy as it can possibly be. In our stores, our associates interact through a mobile device. So whether that's an iPad or an iPhone, they're standing next to the customer, with the customer, perhaps adjacent to the product, perhaps in a chair, perhaps near a table of some sort, having a conversation. We really don't use a typical cash wrap where a customer has to stand in a line, wait to transact and leave. So everything is done mobilely. We've had to utilize these mobile applications to help us provide more information to the associate. So today, an associate can do everything with an iPhone or an iPad. So from interacting with a customer, from live chat interactions with an e-com customer, to receiving freight, to picking and packing freight or boss order, all these things are now available in their mobile device, and information they need to help assist the customer is also there. So it's really forced us to think differently about training. How do we train? Are we training effectively? It forces us to think differently about a knowledge library. We have a lot of people that have been around for 3, 4, 5 years, and we need to make sure that information that was available that to support their needs was readily available. Once again, in the palm of their hands through a mobile application. We're also using a mobile application platform to recognize success, celebrate wins, and really try to have fun in our store environment. Next slide, please. So kind of lastly, our successes, right? So I think this is really the Omni focus or Omni goal has forced us to think differently about how we interact with our people, how we train them, how we emphasize their individual development to help them be comfortable and confident interacting with an associate. We've had to provide enhanced training tools and think about training in a different way than perhaps we did prior. Lastly, and probably most importantly, this has really helped us with associate retention. So the associate has more information, they're more comfortable, and they're able to do what they need to do with the customer. And there's been some obviously very positive KPIs as it relates to productivity and performance and margin, those types of things as well. So with that, I'll open it up back to you.
Yeah, no, this was really interesting. I have to say, my husband's a big customer of UNTUCKit. I was just in your White Plains, New York location and in the Westchester Mall. And I have to say, the store associates were so kind. So now to hear that they're multitasking while they're greeting me, walking in the door, it's just great to hear. I have a bunch of questions lined up, but I want to bring up an audience member. So let's bring up Anna from Carhartt. Welcome, Anna. Great to see you. We'd love to hear what your question or comment is.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for this presentation. This has been really useful. We're getting ready to go through our own boss journey. And so I have a couple of questions for you. When you started out and you took a look at your fulfillment rate, how accurate was your store inventory in reality to believe to where you thought it was going to be?
We've been fortunate, knock on wood, to never really have been challenged with a lot of inventory shrink. And as a veteran retailer, that's always puzzled me. How can that be the case, right? So there's always inventory shrink in stores. But the BOSS process, the requirements have forced us to be even more focused, laser focused on inventory integrity. So ultimately, an order goes to a store where the system says it has that size, print, color, et cetera, et cetera. It could be the last one we own, or it could be one of many that are in different locations across the country. If the store associate cannot locate it in the first store, we ask a little double check, right? Two associates looking for an item sometimes gets a better outcome than one. And ultimately, we hope we fulfill 96%, 97% of our orders the first time, which is great. The 3 to 4% that we don't sometimes bounce from store to store, which is kind of problematic, makes us all do more work. If a store is unable to complete a BOSS order, we will ask the store immediately thereafter to go through a cycle count and check their entire, that color shirt. Let's say it's a white shirt. We ask them to double check and validate all of their white shirts to make sure that their inventory levels are accurate. So one thing leads to another, which forces even more diligence. It's not easy sometimes, right? And that canceled order that ultimately happens when we can't fulfill something is the part that keeps me up at night.
Thank you. And then one last question. Has BOSS changed the assortment that you carry in the stores?
It has enabled us in some stores to probably carry less breadth of assortment so we could tighten up the breadth and be more in stock on the things that we wanted to have in that store. So a C store is likely to have probably less breadth, more depth. An A store still receives kind of every single thing that we have. And it has enabled us to take, as I said, unproductive inventory, those things that accumulate in the store, make them very, very visible to customers. A lot of our customers shop online and they may purchase a size or color that they're comfortable with and they try it on and it doesn't wow them. They come back to a store, we refit them, resize them, and then we have a return in the store that may not be part of the store's assortment. Because of BOSS, that item is now visible to stores across our chain and e-com customers wherever they may be. And that item is now available immediately versus kind of being tucked away in some store stockroom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna, for coming on up and asking those questions. Enjoy the rest of the summit. All right, so let's bring up another audience member. It looks like Eric from Tractor Supply Company wants to come on up, so let's bring him up on stage. Hey, Eric, great to see you again. What is your question?
Yeah, so with the Untuckit brand, I know you are very different in truly being a shirt meant to be worn as an untucked shirt. And the pandemic brought all kinds of clothing companies to market that have performance shirts. They stretch, they claim they can fit, and they have online sizing tools to make sure that you're going to absolutely love the shirt. But a lot of them hit this price point that are in that like $79 to $129 range. And I'll be honest, I've been on your site multiple times. I'm on it right now, just looking again as a point of curiosity. And have you ever thought of allowing that person to pick the item, ship the item? Obviously, you're going to load a credit card and not take the payment if it was one of those ideas of, hey, you can try before you buy type thing. At that price point, you start to second guess yourself. Well, if I don't love it, it's the hassle of returning. And any thoughts around someone in that predicament that just looks at the price and starts to think 2 or 3 different times of, do I love it enough to go ahead and pay for it now? And if I don't love it, I've got to return it and all of that extra process.
Yep.
I would get over the hump quicker if I felt like I hadn't paid for it yet.
Yeah, so we have, I guess the best way to answer that is we have a pretty liberal return policy. We ultimately want you or any customer to be happy with the product they purchased. So if you buy it and it doesn't fit, we want you to return it, or we want you to bring it back so we can get you fit properly. As I mentioned, when customers come into a store to be fit, they pretty much walk out always fitting properly, right? So we have a pretty liberal return policy. We're comfortable selling shirts at the prices we're marketing, and we really established a nice niche for ourselves, recognizing for some customers that's an expensive shirt, for some customers it's not an expensive shirt. So and lastly, we have a couple kind of buy now, pay later options that enable you to purchase over time, that are also available when you purchase the website. So I don't envision us lowering the price of a shirt. We do go on sale once in a while. But we're quite successful selling or trying to sell shirts at the prices that we're offering. So hopefully that answered your question.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. Appreciate it. I know we don't have too much time left, but I want to ask you a little bit more about the training. Obviously, a lot of organizations are struggling with retaining their workforce. So how did you really communicate this training to your team, get them on board, get their buy-in? And you talked a little bit about these enhanced training tools. Not sure if you can kind of share a little bit about what you guys are leveraging or any tips you have.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of platforms out there that you can purchase that can be put on an iPhone, iDevice, and really create instant information in the associate's hand. We use a product called UNTUCKit that we're really happy with. There are a number of others that do very similar things. And really the beauty of it is the associate can, with a few search words, refer, look, find what they need without having to go to a shared file, without having to go to an email, without having to refer to a printed piece of paper. So again, these platforms that exist make it really easy for an associate to learn and gather information. And again, we push information to all associates on a regular basis. We try to keep it fun. We gamify it to some degree where they compete with each other and they have fun learning more and showing their knowledge to other people. So again, thinking about the use of those platforms, I would encourage anybody who's struggling with how do we get associates to know more, to look into some things and take that step.
Yeah, and gamification's been a big, thing lately. I'm wondering though, are store associates financially, incented financially in some manner?
So we have a kind of a team selling approach. So we're not on a commission plan. So our associates that work for us all earn an hourly rate. We do incent them when they take a transaction over a certain dollar level. So higher volume transactions will earn them an incentive.
Okay.
And we do a lot of recognition around kind of a large ticket transaction. Associate earns dollars. When associate does that, it ultimately they get the team involved, the store achieves their plan, and we do some multipliers to ensure that we're paying out winning behaviors. So associates do have the option or the ability to
Nice.
earn additional money as they interact with customers. We typically sell 2+ shirts to every customer that comes into our store. Customers that buy 3, 4, 5 shirts are driving those types of incentives for our associates.
Oh, that's really good to know. Thank you for that. What are some of the ROI benefits to the business? And what is the specific impact to store stock levels?
So as I said, now that we have inventory readily available, we've got more access points or we have more visibility to what we own. The associate doesn't have to worry about where the item is coming from. If it's not in their store and it's showing on hand, it is in some other location, could be a warehouse, could be a store. And they can, for the most part, with confidence, place the order. And on the backside, then, if our stores fulfill properly and accurately are managing that side, we can satisfy that customer. So we can, and we've learned that we can have less depth of inventory in a store. That's not always the most customer friendly when the customer wants something that day. We struggle or attempt to keep in stock the items the customer wants, right, to the best of our ability. We're now approaching the end of the season. Short sleeve shirts are almost gone. Linen shirts are almost gone. And we start moving into this transitional mode as we approach fall. So there's probably never enough inventory in the store when the customer wants what you don't have. But the tools that are now available make more inventory available if the customer's willing to wait 3, 4, 5 days to have their product shipped to their house for free.
You know, we asked this question in our last panel discussion, and I'd love to kind of get your take. How are you guys understanding customer expectations moving forward? And how do you build your processes and capabilities to really manage those expectations?
Yeah, I think this cultural idea of the customer is first is the answer, right? So it's not an e-com customer, it's not a store customer. The customer is the customer. Our best customers shop both channels. So we need to think, or at least attempt to think with the customer's best interests in mind, and then figure out how to deliver them what they want. The customer has more information in some cases now than our associates do. They walk in, they may have done some filtering. They know that their size and their style is available in the store, and they may walk in with an intention to purchase. And if our associates aren't ready to kind of open up our kind of stock rooms, provide them the information they need, that customer is probably going to make a decision to shop elsewhere.
Yeah. A couple more questions for you. You shared that team members actively participate, with e-com, with customers via live chat, as they're welcoming people in the door. What types of customer interactions are you seeing that occur most frequently? And what benefit does the retail store really gain from this experience?
So one of the many questions that comes up, right? And again, our live chat, the e-com live chat, enables the associate or the customer real time to interact with the person versus sending an email or waiting for a customer service person to respond. So there's ultimately or inevitably customers looking for their order. When is my order going to arrive? Is it late? Is there tracking information? So the first, we need our associates at store level to be comfortable answering that question, but not stopping there. We ultimately want to then say, your order is on the way, or your order is delivering, here's the tracking, and would you like to buy more? Is kind of the thought track for our store people. As I said, our store associates need to be on their toes now and really kind of understand more than what's in front of them. So they can see the store in front of them. They can see the product they have in their building. They can now, again, with their interaction more actively on our e-com site, they see product and colors and sizes and product categories that may never be in their store, and they become much more knowledgeable about the brand. And when the customer asks for something specific, they're more readily prepared to answer the customer's question and guide them towards an answer that may live outside the store.
Yeah, last question for you. How do you continue to foster this type of modern retail environment? It sounds like your team has really, culturally embraced all of this.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. It doesn't start automatically with the flip of a switch. As associates, there's the process of educating new associates, right? Newer to the brand, setting expectations appropriately, going through review processes are the best way to continue the process with new associates. With older associates that are resistant, it's an ongoing, we need to share with them the reason why this is good for our customer, first and foremost. If it's good for our customer, it's probably good for our company, right? We're able to now sell product and make more customers loyal to the brand. And when the associate understands those things,
Yeah.
they're more likely or willing to follow the processes. And it's an ongoing process. It doesn't start or stop ever. I think it will happen. I mean, it'll be 4, 5, 10 years from now, we'll be talking about the same types of things to ensure that we are focused on the customer. So there's no endpoint in this in my mind. It's about the customer.
It's about the customer. Great way to wrap up this session. Thank you so much, Brent. Really appreciate you educating us on all of this. Best of luck in your transformation journey. We hope to see you again.
Glad I could join. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.